Holy moly, look at the size of this thing. I tell you what, hitting big jumps can be a scary thing. In fact, hitting jumps of any size can be pretty scary, but when they get pretty big, well, they get even more terrifying, right? But don't worry, I got your back, because today, I'm gonna take you through some of my top tips for progressing your jumps. Right then, before we get cracking, don't forget, give us a little like if this video has helped you get over some jumps, and subscribe for your daily dose of GMBN bangers. Now, as I said, we are going to be talking a little bit more advanced in this video, but I will go over the basics of jumping very quickly. However, if you don't know how to jump at all, don't worry, because we've got you covered. We've done a video on it, which I've linked in the description down below. Okay then, so getting started, people. This is probably where you're going to get started. It's a tabletop, that means there's no gap in the middle, and it's very mellow on the takeoff and on the landing, which means the consequences are fairly low. The good thing is as well, if you come up short, it ain't going to hurt yourself. If you go full send, it's even better. So what do we do then when things start to get a little bit spicy? Well, fear not, I've got your back, Jack, but there are a few things that are going to have to be done a little bit different. So what do we do when it comes to jumping this to this? Oh, hello. Now, I want to talk mindset before we start getting air underneath of our tyres, or certainly some big air, because being in the right frame of mind can be crucial to making it over them big old jumps. Confidence is crucial here. If you're still a bit of a nervous Nelly on the small stuff, I'd hold off hitting the bigger stuff. If people can basically see the whites of your eyes when you're still riding down the trails, you're sadly probably not quite ready. Whoa! Once you've passed that stage of pure terror, pure fear, if you like, but actually you're hitting jumps fairly smoothly all the time, well then I think you're ready to then progress up to something bigger. Now what happens here is your confidence and your ability need to mold as one together. You need to have the confidence, essentially, that you do have the ability, not to repeat myself too much, that you can actually do jumps, and then it's essentially repeating that process on a larger scale. So you almost need to think to yourself that actually I do have the skills to do this, I now just need to back it up with what's up here. Now I know that's easier said than done, right? Especially coming from someone who's been riding for God knows how many years, but perseverance is absolutely crucial, and you will get there eventually, I do promise. It just takes a little bit of time. Another great little trick is positive visualization. What this is positively imagining yourself clearing those jumps. Now this could be the jump as a whole, but what I think is a really good idea or way to do it is to actually break the jump down into sections. So the run in, thinking about the speed and stuff like that, which we'll get to, and then the takeoff in the air and the landing, and you'll get through the entire thing, I promise. Oh my God, so much speed! Holy smokes, wow, it goes without saying, the bigger the jump, the more speed you're gonna need, right? And now sadly, this is where I see a lot of people stumbling at the first hurdle, and it's judging just how much speed do you need? So here is what I'd suggest then, to kind of get used to how to judge and build up speed. Find a good old tabletop, something that you're maybe comfortable with clearing already, something with a nice long landing or a good long deck on top. Tabletops are great, obviously there's no scary hole to fall into. And on this, you can get used to building up speed, so you can go longer and longer and longer. And if it's got a nice long landing as well, even better, because it does mean that you can land longer and further down that landing without any sort of big consequences in that way. Now, I'd never obviously suggest intentionally overshooting jumps, because your ankles and wrists, well, they're not going to thank you for that one bit. But it does mean that you can safely learn how to go faster and quicker, and what will happen when you do as well, because everything happens a little differently on the lip, in the air, and on the landing, all in that safe environment. An all too common mistake when hitting the larger stuff is timing. It's body position, if you like. As things get a little bit more complicated, the longer, the faster, and the higher you start to go. So if you time things incorrectly, a small jump, you might get away with that, but expand that over a bit more time you're in the air, and that slightly wonky body position turns into, well, a proper wonky donkey body position. So on smaller jumps, the process is almost a sort of compress, pop, straight up and straight back down kind of thing again. However, on a bigger jump like this, it's much different. Watch this. Boom. He compresses, but he's got more dead air time, so more air time just of doing nothing. So if he was to pop and nosedive in straight away, then essentially he's gonna nose into the flat bit on top of the deck, if you like, before the landing. Now this jump's actually a really good one for practicing on, because it's quite a good old sized jump. It's 5 meters long to make it to the sweet spot of the landing. So what you're gonna wanna do is come into it, you're gonna compress, and it's not too kicky, this one, so you're gonna compress, pop as you leave the top of the lip, and then instead of just pulling and then shifting your body weight forward to nosedive into the landing, you're almost going to keep your body weight shifted slightly back in a fairly neutral position, so your bike stays level for a little bit longer. And then as you spot the landing, so you're always looking up and ahead, you'll then look to start shifting body weight to nosedive in forward. Remember people, as you get bigger, the forces are going to get stronger, so you need to as well. You need to hold a good steady body position, and you need to be strong on the impact of landing. You don't want to fold like a wet blanket and just crumble like a blancmange into the middle of the bike. You want to be upright, tall, slight elbows bent, knees bent, obviously ready to absorb the landing and looking ahead to your next jump. Bigger jumps can require more pop. Now, what I mean by this is kickier lips. So you see this lip here is pretty steep. Now, if a jump is fairly long and has a mellow takeoff, then speed will get you over it. You don't really need to pull up too much. If a jump that's the same distance has a much steeper lip, that lip's gonna send you up into the air. However, you're not gonna get the distance as much. So you need to pop out of that lip on bigger jumps to be in the air for longer to be able to go further and clear the jump. Tricky, right? Well, not as tricky as you might think. Now, if you're looking at your computer screen right now like a confused dog going, pop, what the heck is he on about? It's essentially using the bunny hop technique to go higher. But the key, well, that is in the timing. And here is how it should look. Ooh! So imagine you're coming up towards this jump. You deploy the bunny hop technique. Now I'm going to assume you know how to bunny hop. If you don't, fear not, there are videos linked down below for it. But it's essentially squashing and popping, a bit of pull and push. So we're gonna come in and we're gonna initiate our compression into the bike here. And then as we leave the lip, this top part here, that's where we're gonna explode, if you like, out of the bike, pulling and then pushing forwards to level the bike out in the air. Now, if I didn't do that and I just pushed through the lip, I squashed it essentially, I'm more than likely gonna come up short looking like this. Ouch, indeed, never good. However, if I compress and I really explode out of the bike, pull up, push through, and then nosedive it into the landing, it should look like this. Oh, much better. My last top tip then is repetition. Now, what I mean by repetition is doing it over and over again, hopefully seeing some improved results the more and more you do it. And what this does is help you build up confidence in your ability. It helps you sort of get a feel for what the bike does in the air, and it'll also build up sort of that muscle memory of speed recognition, takeoff, landings, where to position yourself in the air as well. And hopefully over time it will become more natural and more sort of instinctive the more you do it. But look, sadly, it's the end of this video. I know, sad times, look, people, but let me know, have I managed to help you progress your jumping in the comments down below? Because I do love to hear from you. But for now, look, we're off to go send it. So grab a lid, stick your pads on, go have some fun on the jumps, and until next time, I'll see you later.